Hi. Have you ever wondered why we sleep? It's a question that's come across my mind a number of times through life, and I've thought of how strange sleep is. What would it be like if if creatures from outer space came to the Earth and they noticed that the animals and the humans would spend large amounts of time in this unconscious horizontal state? Isn't it also strange that we spend up to a third of our lives in this state of unconsciousness? Well, at the same time, clearly there's a number of benefits from sleep, and it seems that doctors and researchers are finding that it is more and more integral to wholeness and health than maybe we even thought ever before. Sleep is a kind of a Sabbath rest. It is a kind of a forced stopping and resting that is in a rhythmic daily pattern. It's an opportunity for us to kind of relinquish our misconception that we have control over our lives. Instead, we get to intentionally, in a daily way, relinquish our lives or surrender our lives to God. It's clearly a significant kind of physical rest for our body, and maybe even more an emotional and spiritual reboot. There could be things that are really weighing on us, but after a good sleep, there's a release that comes to us. I work with some seminary students for the last number of years, and every year I'll ask students at some point why they think we sleep. And it's been interesting to see a variety of answers. But the part that has been most interesting to me, honestly, has been to hear the responses of those from African nations. It seems that almost without exception, that they say, oh, sleep is when we hear from God, that we receive God in our dreams. And that was so surprising to me the first time I heard it, because it's so distant from the way often that Americans view sleep or dreams. But it was even more interesting to see how prevalent that view of sleep and dreams is among our African brothers and sisters. Well, today I'd like to consider dreams, but I would particularly like to just suggest a few ways that we can all grow in the ability to receive benefit in and from our dreams. And so the first, or the premise, or the foundation I want to encourage you to lay down is that you prayerfully listen to your dreams rather than focusing on interpreting them. So receive them rather than getting all cerebral and analytical about it, because your dreams come to you in a passive state, which means that it's probably best to receive in that similar pattern. Otherwise, you'd be getting them, or when you're alive and and moving from your brain. Instead, receive them more and let them kind of come into your life, sink into you, rather than you pressing into them. Now, here's some pointers that I would give, or some suggestions. First of all, tell God that that you want to, from now on, pay attention to your dreams and ask Him to help you remember them. Some people remember their dreams well. Others have a difficult time doing that. So ask for God's help. Say, I want you to know I'm paying attention to this vehicle or this avenue of communication from you, and I'm asking that you will help me to remember them. Secondly, I'd encourage you to get a journal, and whether that's in an electronic version or whether it is in a hard copy version, but get a journal and begin to jot down your dreams in your journal. That, one, will help you to remember them, and two, it will be helpful to you later on to be able to come back to them. It was interesting even today as I was thinking about this topic. I went back to a dream that was very informative to me personally. Thirdly, Once you have the dream and you've jotted it down generally, and again, you're receiving it more than you're looking to interpret it, but a good way to do it is give it a title. So that will help you to recollect it later, but it will also, it helps you to start to categorize it without pushing that too hard. So give a title to the dream. It could be the waterfall dream, or it could be flying, or it could be in the heat of Florida, something like almost like a title to a book. Fourthly, once you've jotted it, you've given it a title, maybe give it a theme. So let's say it was the waterfall dream, and the theme was cleansing for my soul, or the theme was feeling free. So there's some kind of general tenor of the dream. So there's a title and a theme, and it can be helpful to then jot down any affect either in the dream or from the dream. It could be that when you woke up, you felt anxious, or you felt afraid, or you felt inspired, or so any affect can also help in the general understanding or interpretation of the dream without, again, getting tremendously analytical about it. Describe any affect, excitement or whatever. The sixth point I would suggest is to list any questions from the dream. Dreams don't often come in logical patterns. So there might be some dreams as to, well, why was it this way? Or what does this generally mean, without pressing in too intensely? What are questions? Maybe 2, 3, 4, don't go for 20. We're so used to trying to get every word and make sure that everything correlates with some other thing, and that analytical nature shuts down revelation often, but particularly it shuts down receiving our dreams. Lastly, I would encourage you to prayerfully reflect over the dream without analyzing it. Allow its clarity and purpose and maybe even application to surface, to picture it as surfacing rather than you bearing down to get its meaning. Allow it to surface, don't dig it up. Because Revelation has 3 aspects to it, whether you're awake or asleep. So I like to think of there's revelation, there's interpretation, and there's application. Those of us who live in the realm of logic tend to go, well, here was an image I have, what should I do with that? But that is not the way to handle a dream. So first is allow it to come in, allow the revelation to come into your being. Then, over time, you're allowing the interpretation of what it may generally mean, which there's not a lot of detail usually, but a general meaning. Allow that interpretation to surface. And then the application is what God might have for you to do with that dream. So revelation, interpretation, and application. It might mean that you need to share the dream with somebody else. And because sometimes there's gifts of interpretation that others can have or that you yourself may have. But don't force it. Allow it to come slowly and gently. In the overall pattern or practice of receiving our dreams, I would encourage you, when you're done, you've done that process, thank God for the capacity to dream. Dreaming is an incredible artistic gift from God. So thank God for the capacity to dream and submit it to God, that you want to become a dreamer, that you want to receive through this vehicle, and make clear to Him that you want to obey whatever He makes clear to you through the process of dreams. Remember, the scriptures that we believe, the Bible's full of of dream interpretation. So just some examples of that would be, remember Solomon, he's in a dream that God said, I'll give you whatever you want, and he says wisdom, and he became the wisest man of his day, if not in all time. Remember also Joseph. So Joseph was going to maybe set aside or divorce Mary, but an angel came to him in a dream and said, no, Jesus is of the whole. This baby is of the Holy Spirit. Don't put her away. It became clear that he should stay with Mary and that he should help to raise Jesus. You may remember that the Apostle Paul, he was having a tough time knowing where to go, where he wanted to go in his next journey and venture. He kept experiencing a sense of no in his spirit, and then he received a dream of a Macedonian calling out to him in prayer, "Come to us," and that led in the direction of his life. So dreams can be very valuable to us, but let's first take them seriously as from God, learn to receive them, and then allow the interpretations and applications to surface rather than force them. So I hope that's beneficial to you. It's been very beneficial to me, and I've been growing in my ability to dream. I still have a long way to go, but it can also be fun. Most of the cultures of the world take dreams much more seriously than we do. So may we catch up with them, and may this be an increasing process of clarity for us from God. So I hope that's beneficial. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.